I'm Britton LaRue, and this is Moon to Moon. Moon to Moon is a space to consider, celebrate, and share the ways we come home to ourselves, anchor through change, and uncover our power. 1 month, one phase, one loving step at a time. Hello, Moon to Moon. It's Britton, and in this episode, I'm sharing with you some reflections that I recorded yesterday when I woke up and saw that I had reached 10,000 followers on Instagram, and I just felt so joyous and excited and grateful and full of pride, and just started writing down in my journal with my coffee, like what I appreciate in myself, in my relationship to Instagram, that felt important as part of the pathway of going from 0 to 10,000 human beings who want to be engaged with what I put out in the world in Instagram. And as I started writing, I was like, these are good. I'm going to make an IG live, or I'm going to make a reel. And then as I'm still writing, I'm like, no, this is a podcast episode. This is a workshop or something, But let's just start with the podcast episode. Let's just celebrate this marker. Take a moment to be like, what is that? Is there anything here that I want to share? Yeah, there's a lot that I want to share. And I really wanted to try to structure it around a few key points. So what you're about to hear has 5 basic points centered around 5 basic questions that you can ask yourself and you can bring into your field if you want to live into them and see what happens. I snipped the very front of the episode because it's a little bit rambly, and I wanted to just clip it to where it begins to land inside of its potency. So who is this episode for? Honestly, this is for anyone who wants a more creative and empowering relationship to Instagram. So maybe you want to be in Instagram, or you think about being in Instagram and you're not. Or you have an account and you're not posting there. Maybe you are actively posting, but it just feels hard. It feels like a struggle. It does not feel creative. It does not feel empowering. Maybe it feels really creative, empowering, but you are at the beginning and it feels like a long way to getting to where I've just arrived, and you're looking for pep talk, inspirational concepts to hook into to support you in the pathway. If you're someone who's interested in this feeling like an organic process that grows as you hold the frequency of growing, and it's not like a, quick fix, just jump to 10,000, who are these even real people? Will it last? Are you going to be able to keep showing up to that? That's not what I wanted. I wanted it to slowly grow as I grew in a kind of a rhythmic, seasonal, cyclical way. And I was very open to periods of crescendos where lots could come in, and then it was okay, holding. I just need to get used to being here for a little bit, and then kind of waiting until it feels like, okay, I'm used to being here now. Okay, let's grow again. And that's really been the whole deal for me, is just slow rhythmic growth. It's been very consistent and sustainable for me, because my capacity to hold that level of visibility just moved along with the growth in a way that felt empowering and creative. So this is for you if you want to tap into something like that. So I recorded yesterday, and then right after that, I met with the Underdog to Diva group coaching container that just kicked off, and I did a transmission. I shared a transmission that had come through for Aries, and we got into the topic of Instagram, and this really cool concept came through that is not included in what I recorded yesterday. So part of me doing a new intro is that I want to share this with you. I didn't record this yesterday, but I shared this with the Underdog to Diva group. And that is, you do not have to match the energy that's in Instagram. So what I mean by that is that you may feel that Instagram itself has an energy, or you may feel like the folks that you're following, maybe people that you compare yourself against, have a sort of frequency. And I wonder if sometimes the resistance or the bitterness that one can have it with Instagram is a kind of intelligent desire and frustration with the idea that you have to like match that in some way, that you have to leave yourself to go match this other thing. And there's this kind of like, I don't want to do that, that is actually really loving. And also some part of you is like, and I want to be in Instagram, growing in Instagram. And so it's like, what do you do? What do you do with this? And I see so many individuals, so many folks that I mentor report things like this, I think it's extremely common. And so I have some things to say, take it or leave it. You don't have to match the energy that's there, just like you don't have to match the energy at the grocery store. You don't have to match the energy of the people in your book club. You don't have to match the energy of, your parents at a family dinner. This is sort of like kind of foundational energy, intuitive healing skill set is growing a lot of familiarity with your own frequency, so that you just take your frequency wherever you go and you don't have to match anything else. Like if you want to match the forest that you're taking a walk through, like maybe you can choose to be like, you know what, I'm actually going to like completely resonate with this place because I like the way this place feels, but you chose to do that. And so then if you're at the grocery store, if you're like, I really don't like the way this place feels, you can walk through the whole place holding your own energy and leave, and it's not sticking to you, So this is really something that you can do with Instagram, and inviting you to feel into your frequency with yourself. This is the divinity piece that we talk about in Underdog to Diva, holding that frequency that's your divine frequency, and feel into what do you want to say from that place and bring that to Instagram so that what you post there is singing with your unique frequency. It's very clear to those who encounter it that it has a different, unique frequency from the rest of the feed that they're scrolling through. And what this will help happen, what this can facilitate, is this sense of if folks are regularly then interfacing with your frequency and they like how it feels, because it's like, not like the rest of the feed, and it's a match for something inside of them that wants to come forward a little bit, or like maybe it's a part of them they want to get to know better, is that frequency, then the audience that's magnetized to you can start to imagine what it might like to be in a Zoom room with you, what it might like to be experiencing a product that you make, a piece of writing that you've created. The frequency of the post that holds you in your frequency will suggest what it might be like to take on more of it somewhere else, which is ostensibly what quote unquote marketing, is in Instagram. Is like, do you like how my posts feel? Would you like to get out of here and do something with me outside of Instagram? This is what it feels. This is a taste of what it feels like to be in my frequency. And then someone might buy your book. They might buy your PDF. They might buy your meditation. Maybe you have a free thing that you want to give, and they're like, I want to see if this frequency that I'm sensing from them, I can get from this free thing. So then they go to the podcast, because that's like a way to experiment. This is what it's like being around this human's frequency and the frequency to which they're showing up to their offering. So to me, this feels like really creative and empowering, because I have the agency to say, this is how I want to show up. I get to do this the way I am. Here's my frequency. Do you feel it in the post? It either resonates or it doesn't, because not everyone resonates with everyone. And I really feel like by focusing on that, of like, I don't have to match. I just get to be me. I just get to be connected to my unique frequency and share that. This is how you can distinguish yourself the way, if you have a romantic partner, the way they distinguish themselves among a sea of other possibilities. The way, an apple, or the way a bag of pretzels, anything, sings to you rather than another. There's like many things going on there. And what it is a feeling. What it is that you like how you feel about the apple, or the person, or the restaurant, or the particular park, or this particular flower. Like, we like how we feel in the presence of this frequency. And what that is because it's opening something of inside of us that's related to that frequency, so that it can take up more space. And we like how it feels when that part of us takes up more space, And so this is how to create like a lot of mutual resonance with other human beings, is by really being clear on your own frequency, so that you can put it out and just offer it. And then for those, that's like a clear call, that's like a clear call to someone else's frequency. And there's resonance or there isn't, and that there's like a pretty high likelihood that if someone resonates with you when that's the energy that you're posting from, there's a very high likelihood that they will be pleased if they go to find out what you're doing outside of Instagram, because once again, you're in the same frequency of yourself, which is just like an honest kind of fountain. You're just like honestly fountaining your own energy. And it's what the human being really resonated with in Instagram to begin with. So it would be natural that they would really enjoy taking more from that fountain, like holding their cup up to the fountain in your podcast, or in your booklet, in the tincture that you've made, in the book that you've written, Like presumably, having living astrology in your home has this kind of frequency in the space that's similar to the frequency that you find from my Instagram feed. That may be how you found me. You know, like there's a sense of a continuation and a coherence. And what that comes from, and I'm going to get really into it in this episode, is just me wanting to bring that fountain of my own energetic to whatever I'm doing, not trying to match any other kind of energy, just being within my own energy, you know? And that takes practice, and it takes like growing a lot of intimacy with your own energy and with what it's like to be fully inside of yourself with other people kind of out of your space, which is something that I teach in my containers, you know? So yes, I got to share that. I feel good. I feel like this episode's complete now. Not as in you can stop listening, but as in like when you add this to what you're about to listen to, I feel like really nice about how this creates something really, hopefully resourceful for anyone wanting to hold their cup up to it. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode. So let me get to what I want to talk to you about today, which is some of my reflections today here at reaching 10,000 followers. So what I want to do, I feel like I've really distilled it down to 5. I wanted to try to keep it potent. And I want to speak to like probably the 5 most rich zones for contemplation here that you can take with you. And I'm going to name where I have privilege in some of these, as in like, I feel like I have gifts that have helped make this so, the thing I'm going to say. And then I'm going to share with you where it's taken like serious grit, like where it's taken a lot of self-confrontation, a lot of self-holding, a lot of self-inquiry, a lot of courage to just keep trusting when I'm terrified. So, so before I jump into these 5, I'll share with you a little bit about my history with Instagram. I started my account at Britton LaRue. No, it wasn't at Britton LaRue. It was at Working With Your Wheel, because that's what I first thought my business was going to be called. And so I had like 3 clients. And I started at Working With Your Wheel on Cancer season of 2018. And I went back to my old journals where I, like occasionally in my journals, I'll note where I am with Instagram followers and where I am with newsletter subscribers, which in itself is something that you might want to try. It's just like keeping track of the data, because it shows yourself that you're not afraid of data. You know what I mean? If you're willing to track data, that means you're not afraid of data. Okay? You can just put that in your pocket. Okay. So I went back and looked, and it took 2 years. It was 2020 when I hit 1,000. So 0 to 1,000 felt like, oh my gosh, it was so rough. Like it took forever. Like every single time I got one single follower, it was like a miracle. And when I would lose a follower, it was like tragic, you know, just like, oh. And I knew, and I would read about how once you get over 1,000, like it'll feel lighter, it'll feel easier. And it really is true. And that's my understanding that now that I've hit 10K, it'll also just kind of have this kind of exponential growth feeling. And that's just kind of a wild, weird thing. And so sending love to everyone under 1,000 who's like, will this ever happen? You know, because I just really remember those days. They really weren't that long ago. So it's now been just under 4 years getting from 1,000 to 10,000. And so here we go. I would say that the first thing I'm going to bring in here is the spirit of how I got into Instagram has been a spirit that's guiding the way. And the question here is like, what is the spirit of your engagement with Instagram? Like, what is the energy? What is the spirit of going there for you? So when I started my astrology practice, I had this vision that I was going to be word of mouth, by referral, like the bliss of never marketing. And the dream was to have a completely booked calendar and never have to like go through the indignity of marketing, right? That was my vibe, which is probably funny to hear now given like what a big promo person I am. But that's how it was. But the more I was engaging with all of these interesting people's feeds in Instagram, people who were saying really cool stuff, offering beautiful insights, so much wisdom about astrology or the tarot or energy healing, something like this, I began to feel like, well, I want to say something too. You know, I started to have this feeling of like, well, here I am journaling about what I'm feeling at this full moon of Sagittarius. And I want to share that. Like, I want to contribute this. Like, nobody else is saying what I'm writing in my journal. Like, could it be possible that I could contribute to the public discourse? And this was going to mean for me like a reframe of what I thought I wanted. Because if what I really want to be doing, or part of what I want to be doing, is contributing to the public discourse, well, that's a different thing. That is not the same thing as a by referral only client situation. Like being someone who's contributing to public discourse is a different desire. So that's a thing that I went through. But I think this is really important because I went into Instagram not because I thought I had to, not because I thought somebody was like making me do this or like, I have to do this because it's the only way I'm ever going to get clients, you know? I went into it just like, I have something to say. Does anyone want to hear what I have to say? And just starting to say things, you know? Just like starting to say things. What do you want to say? What do you want to say with this microphone? You know, what's on your heart? What do you want people to know that they could feel into that you propose about fill in the blank astrology moment or this kind of card and this kind of spread or whatever? And so it's just kind of been like that this whole time, you know? Like I've always just gone in with this spirit of like, I have something to say now, you know, and this feeling like I'm contributing to public discourse, I'm contributing to a conversation, I'm contributing to dialogue. And for me, it's like, I don't necessarily need a response. I'm just looking to experience myself contributing. Do you see the difference there? I'm looking to experience myself contributing to the public discourse. It's not so much that I'm like thinking that anyone's really going to respond to me. I'm just going to put it here, take it or leave it, you know? And that vibe is still to this day the frequency that I'm interested in holding, which is that I have something to say. If anybody finds this interesting, that's awesome, you know? like, this is what's going on in my world. Like, I'm feeling these things. I'm looking at these things this way. This is what's interesting to me. This is what I'm noticing. This is what feels true. I'm just taking my own kind of weird, like, journaling thoughts or stuff that comes through when I'm in the shower or on a run, and then just taking the time to throw those in some tiles and put it out there, you know? And then just like that's the feeling that I want. I want the feeling of contributing. And so I would say that the privilege that I have in this is the years and years and years of being in like grad seminar type classrooms, you know, of being someone who, like, I did the reading. I have some thoughts on the reading. I'm going to bring the thoughts I have on the reading to the room. That doesn't mean I need everyone to agree with me. This is what we do here in this room, is that we share what came through for us with the reading. And so because I have a lot of experience of this kind of discourse forum, I feel like that really helped me in kind of already knowing myself as somebody who does that. But that doesn't mean that I was like that in every area of my life. When I started out, like really even to this day, I get very shy about speaking that forthrightly in like dinner table situations, you know? But I treated Instagram like a collegial grad seminar space as opposed to like the Thanksgiving table. And that, like, that's the vibe for me, you know, is this like, this isn't about whether y'all love me or not. This is like, do you like the thing I threw into the room? Because when I was in grad seminars, the whole point is to speak. If you're just sitting there and you don't throw anything into the room in a graduate seminar, you're not bringing anything. Like, you're not contributing, you know? And that was always what I wanted to do in seminar rooms, is contribute, because that meant you were participating and like bringing the room along. We're bringing the room along. You know, it's kind of like Tina Fey's rules about improv from Bossy Pants. You know, like if you're trying to improv and the other person like doesn't take what you just threw out, and they act like, well, I don't really know. And it's like, what? We can't do this unless you play. So like for me, just treating Instagram as a place where my role is to contribute. It's not to secure love, you know, it's not to, it's not about bonding, you know, it's about, it's more like air than that. It's like the element of air. So I hope that that's helpful. You know, when you feel into this question of like, why am I here? Like, what is the spirit for me being here? If you have bitterness about it, if you have resentment about it, what I would ask you to wonder about is like, who are you bitter at? Like, who shows up in your mental pictures, that like is creating the resentment? Because if you come in from this place of like, I'm just coming to contribute, you know, so that I'm the person in the seminar room who's moving this conversation along rather than just being quiet and not offering anything. That if you don't want to be in that seminar room, then don't be in the seminar room, you know? Like, why is there resentment? And I think underneath that question, there's a lot of beautiful information about where you may be scared, where you may feel powerless, where you have pain or grief. And this is wonderful information, because then you can go tend to those things. then you can go take care of those parts of you, because that's the problem. It's not Instagram. You know what I mean? And that helps you be more aware of what's going on unconsciously when you consciously presume that you want to grow an Instagram and then you're not, you know? So I hope that that's helpful. The second thing that I was thinking about is my phrasing, before you can be anything, you have to first be an imposter at it. And this is about bringing the energy of experimentation and puppy and playfulness to a space that, you know, you're an underdog at Instagram. You're an underdog at Instagram until you have several thousand followers, right? Like, you could put it that way. So as I've shared about underdog to diva, underdog energy will work for you really well if the frequency is puppy. So you have to be willing to be kind of an imposter, right? Like, of course you're an imposter because you don't have evidence that you are like an authority, right? Like, you don't have evidence that you know what you're doing. So yes, you're an imposter. It's okay. You know, like, let's not get tangled into these systems that have us shaming ourselves for being new at things. And so I feel like there's this, the invitation is to be willing to just try things, and to be cringy. Like, I have not taken that shit down. It's all there for posterity. You can go see, I was much cringier. You can feel the cringe. I like to go back and like send love to my younger self because she was so brave. She was willing to be cringy. And y'all, there's like a real coolness there. Like, I actually think she was really cool. Why? Because she was sincere. You know, she was sincere. She was sincerely trying to show up at a thing that she had no practice in. She was kind of cringy at. Like, you can feel like there's an insecurity and a lack of confidence, this kind of like doubt of like, am I doing this okay? You know, you can feel that. And to me, that is so powerful. It's so brave. The bravery to show up when you're not super confident in yourself, but you trust the message. Like, you trust what is underneath what you're trying to do. And that's why you fucking go be cringy. Is if you trust the message, you know, you trust the guidance that's providing the message, you trust the modality, you trust your channel, then if you're a little cringy, what's the big deal? Like, you just showed so many parts of you, and you showed the universe that you don't care that you were cringy, you know? And this is really how you show yourself and you show your community that you're serious. And when you show people that you're serious, they take you seriously, you know? And the more you're just like in the conviction of like, I'm going to do it even if it's cringy, there's a really powerful frequency there. And you just keep doing it again and again and again and again. And it gets easier because you start to have facility, and then you're not an imposter at it anymore. You know, it's so cool. So the next one I would say is, so for that last one, I would say that was a not privilege zone for me. That was all grit. I'm a Saturn and Leo baby, and visibility has been like so rough these years of growing my business. And I have like showed up to the fucking tests, you know, and it doesn't feel hard anymore, but there's always new thresholds that are hard. But now I have confidence that I have the tools to move through whatever happens, you know? And I know that I have those tools because I did it at the beginning when I was an imposter and an underdog. Okay. The next thing then, number 3, would be being committed to the inevitability of your growth. To be convicted. Conviction is not certainty. Conviction can feel like certainty, but it's actually deeply uncertain because it's connected to belief or faith or trust. Where certainty is more like, I know logically that I'm going to get the evidence. So being very convicted that growth is inevitable is extremely powerful, extremely magical. This is like, what is the assumption that you're bringing? What is the assumption that you're bringing about growth or no growth? To whatever degree out of 100% that you are, you trust it, I invite you to notice, like, what's the percentage of not trust? That's where to be sending yourself a lot of love and compassion and inviting your guides, inviting in support from the unseen realms to boost you in trusting. Because if you are convicted, it will happen. It's just like a magical equation, you know? What I used to say to myself is, if there are 10 people who like this, then there are 20 who would like it if they saw it. If 100 people are following me, then there are 200 people that want to follow me. And so I always would see it as like, there are just as many people out there who would be following me or would be liking these posts or would be signing up for my things than currently are. They just don't know that I exist. They just don't know I exist. So then that gets you really clear. I'm like, so what's my job? My job is to keep talking. My job is just keep going, keep posting in the conviction that growth is inevitable. And I would say that I have some privilege in this space because I think being a Pisces, I have a very Jupiterian nature. Like, since I've been a kid, I've always been a bright sider, kind of like naturally seeing silver linings, you know, like always looking for like the lesson I'm learning. Like every hardship has something, you know, and just like trusting that I'm loved, even if I'm not even sure if there's a single human who loves me. I just have this feeling that I'm loved from the spirit realm. And it's okay. So then that's what I have, you know, and that's all I need today. You know, this kind of chipper, kind of Jupiterian attitude here under the Sag moon. And so that's just, I think that if you have a conviction, and so when I won't have conviction, where I'm sort of like 10K, I'm not going to get to 10K. Well, then I won't, you know, it's real simple. Like right now, I'm like, I would never get to 100K. Like that would never happen, you know, and that's fine. Okay, so 100 is off limits, but could I imagine getting to 15? Yeah, that's totally possible. So then you just can create kind of like new impossibility thresholds of like, well, that's not possible, but what is possible? Well, that's possible. And then that can be sort of where you're open to going, trusting that growth is inevitably going to take you to that place. And then once you're there, it's like, okay, well, I guess I could make it to 20,000, you know, and then you just start to open these doors. And then the next thing you know, I'll be at 100,000, you know, but I don't need to be worried about 100,000 today because that feels really weird for my body. And we don't need to do that. So what I will say for like boosting is that like once I tried one of those bot companies that like, I guess it wasn't bots. I can't remember their name. This was like 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, where they like people's posts for you and they guarantee you some rates of growth. I just didn't like it. It was really weird to me that someone could be like liking for me. I just didn't like how that felt. So one of the things that I've done on and off through the years, especially in the last 2 years, is if a post is obviously really popular on its own, like I post it And I can tell in the first 6 hours, ooh, this is a good one. You know, a lot of people are really resonating. A lot of people are saying, thank you for posting this. A lot of people are like, whoa, fuck, I resonate. Well, then based on that same thinking of like, if 100 people like it, 200 people will like it. Then I boost that post. So I boost it through Instagram. Maybe I just put like $5 on it, you know, and then let it swell. And the reason I'm comfortable with that is because if they're resonating with that post, that means they're going to resonate with my other posts. So we're a fit and we're a match, and I can feel good about that. Like they chose to follow. They don't have to. It does take a little bit of grit in the sense that it's kind of like embarrassing to be seen by your current group as boosting posts. But I got over that because now I see what I do as modeling for other people. That like, yeah, you can do that. You just do it, you know, go find more people. They're so going to be so excited to have you in their feed. So then who's in the feed, right? Like the fourth one to me is like, who are you talking to? And this is a really important one because if you're talking to people that you presume you have to convince, if you're talking to people who you think are judging you, if you're anticipating judgment, disagreement, or critique, you're not going to be very excited to go into Instagram, you know? So in order for Instagram to be a really fun place, you have to imagine it to be a place that's full of support and full of very wise people who can't wait to hear from you. If you can't even imagine a single human being who would fit that description, like for me, I've always been a loner. So I'm not someone who thinks, I didn't have a self-concept as someone who could like, quote unquote, create community, right? But now I have community. So how does that happen? How does that happen? Especially when you're a loner. You know, I have Aquarius ruling my 11th house. I just... like friendships always have been an awkward thing for me. And I think the most important thing I did early on was imagine my younger self, who I know for sure wants what I'm going to say. And is going to be like, whoa, that is exactly what's resonating in my body. That is so good. But then what I trust is that because we're all connected, and I truly see all sentient beings as part of one large earth body, and then beyond that, part of a cosmic body, it has to be true that aspects of my younger self are very similar in frequency and in resonance to parts of other people. Now, not all of them. They may not love everything about me and everything I have to say, but there may be parts of them that are like, whoa, fuck, that, hell, you know? So if I just speak to my younger self and the aspects of my younger self who is in resonance with parts of other human beings, then I'm going in there and it's like, it feels really fun to share. And if you go in from this place of presuming that these words are needed, then it feels really open, and you find that you really magnetize because you're speaking from such like a truth place of resonance. I also feel really strongly that if I have something to say to her, then I say it. If I don't have something to say, I don't say it. I don't like being cornered. I don't like rules like you have to post every day or you have to blah, blah, blah. So I really like to liberate myself to post with what wants to come through. And also, I do have a kind of plan for rhythm, like especially if I'm going to be promoting something. Like my Capricorn moon likes purpose, right? So for me, I don't really like to post like a random thing. It's like everything in me is like, why? Like what is that connected to? Like what is that for? I like to post because it's like connected to something that matters, like it matters because we're in Gemini season. So this post needs to matter to that. It matters because I'm creating a whole pathway to a doorway for a class on a theme, thematically. Like we're like moving through a movie. We're like moving through a piece of music. So I don't have, like if you watch my feed, there aren't like random posts that don't connect to other posts. Because honestly, like that just doesn't like connect in my brain as worthwhile, Like I really value time, and I don't want to work on something if I don't understand how it's like building. Like, what are we building? What are we doing? Otherwise, I just feel sort of like the kid on the playground that was sort of like, I don't understand what the rules are though. Like, I want to understand, like, what are we doing? Otherwise, I just feel really awkward. So most of my posts, like, they have momentum. You feel that, right? They have momentum because I'm like telling a story. I'm building out something that it's like it has a climaxing quality. That feels exciting for me. That feels really yummy to me. And so when I think about like, what do I want to say to her, meaning my younger self and the younger self of mine that resonates with parts of you, it needs to make sense to me in terms of like a larger thing that I'm building. Or else it's like, I'm not posting today, Like I don't do it for like if I had to do things for algorithms, whoa. Like when I find out that someone is like paralyzed because they're worried about the algorithm, it's like, whoa, no, don't go into that. Don't go there. Like, don't go there, Like that, how disempowering can it be? This has to be empowering. So if I'm like over there thinking about, that my algorithm is probably going to get lost, like, ooh, that's like not fun sounding. I don't think about stuff like that. I do not think about ways it's going to go wrong or ways the system is cheating me or ways that no, because I'm going because I want to participate, and I want to know myself as someone who's an agent of power, And so I don't get trapped in all that stuff. Even if aspects of that are very true, that doesn't mean that I can't expand beyond that with my imagination, because that's like marketplace reality stuff that I don't actually have to respect. So that leads us to number 5, which is who's in charge? Who's in charge? And you're in charge. You're in charge of your relationship to Instagram, and you're in charge of what happens in Instagram. You're in charge of the frequency with which you enter. You're in charge of how you leave. You're in charge of your notifications. You're in charge of how much you engage or not engage with other people. You're in charge with what things look like. Like for me, aesthetics are a big deal. Aesthetics are a big deal. I don't want those templates that Canva suggests. Like, I am in charge of my aesthetics. Just like you know what you want to eat on the menu, just like you would know, like, these are the flowers I'm picking at this grocery store or whatever. This is how you like pick one apple and not another apple. Like, aesthetics are a big deal. And I take that extremely seriously. Even if I had all the money in the world to never have to make another Canva tile, I don't know. My standards are so high, it's hard to imagine it. It's also part of my creative process. Like, I create as I do tiles. Like, the wording changes as I'm tinkering. So for me, I take a lot of joy in being very picky and finicky and like Venusian in my preferences when it comes to Instagram. And this is how I think coherence and consistency happens naturally without me having to be like, do I have a consistent aesthetic? I don't ask that question because of course it does. Because I'm creating from my like strongly Taurian aesthetic. You know, it's like bend down into what you know you like and just create from there. You will have coherence and you will have consistency. And this is how you can have coherence and consistency without this kind of formulaic quality of like kind of lifeless feed that just, it has no like aliveness and vigor and eroticism probably because other people are doing it. Maybe there'll be a point in my career when I hand that kind of thing over, but it feels to me like the aesthetics are part of my voice. Form and word, you know, like form and content are married, and that creates potency for me. And so this, I would say, is a privilege because I spent all those years in art history staring at images, creating slideshows for like 1 million different PowerPoint presentations as an adjunct teacher. You know, my mom her and I both have this channel in our body graph in human design. My mom has this severity, this kind of like, I tease her that her Venus is a tyrant. Because when it comes to like tablescapes, my mom, like, holy shit, when you come over and it's someone's birthday or there's some kind of themed gathering, it looks like she had a staff of like professional flower arrangers and like party people come in. I hate this stuff. I have no patience for it. I can't stand setting tables. But my mom is like, it's incredible. And it's taken me a long time to see how I actually do have this. It's unconsciously defined in my body graph, but like it's this channel from the root to the spleen. I can't remember which one it is, but it's basically like being quite severe about how you want things, and it does relate to form. And I think that this kind of thing comes through when I'm creating tiles and slideshows, honestly, where I just like am very committed to it. Like it's about my own pleasure, honestly. And so I guess you could call that a gift, quote unquote, but that's, I think, where I get the gift, is this like severity about things. Not everybody's going to be like that. So I think it's about how do you translate what I was just talking about to yourself, you know? Like some people are committed to like white background tiles with just like really plain fonts, because they like that kind of clean, no nonsense aesthetic. And I think it's extremely impactful. It's really about just sensing that someone's unapologetic, right? Unapologetic and unshamed in the way they present, and just like committing, you know, like if you like dusty palettes, commit. If you like bright, like cyan, I think it's called, like pink, blue, black, whatever it is, like get into it is the point. Because it's like, who's in charge? Who's in charge? I think that is a huge thing that has helped me in Instagram, is just knowing that I'm in charge. I, as a fifth line human, really love to speak, but I don't really like being in the comments. You know, I think being in the comments is kind of what some people really, really love. I don't. I just like to speak and then just put it out there and like move on to another thing. And I really like to drop into Instagram, send the thing out, and then leave. Like now and then go check on it. How's it going? How's it going? Okay, cool. Bye. You know? And I don't really like to hang out that much on Instagram as a place to receive, but I really love it as a place to give. And I'm in charge, so, right? It's, I think, owning how you want it to be, and then just do it, do that. I think that is something that you grow into, but I think it's really good wisdom for giving yourself the spaciousness to be, to let it be however you want it to be. Like, there doesn't need to be a template, that one person for success that somebody's teaching. Just take what you like and leave the rest. Even if somebody gave you a half of a tip that you want. Okay, cool. That was worth it. Now you can take that. Anytime you're getting anything, including what you don't want, you're still getting something. See, there's my Jupiterian side. So I feel myself completing. Thank you so much. I hope that this was helpful. I'm sending so much celebration to all y'all out there, especially beginning at this, or maybe you've had the account a long time, but there's been stagnation because it's hard and awkward. I hope that there was something here that was supportive to you as you expand your voice and come into a more empowered and playful relationship with Instagram, if that's where you want to be, right? That's question number one. Question number one, as I was like, what is the spirit of you being here? That's question number one. If you can get clear on that, you can begin to do the other things. So, hope that was helpful. Again, thank you for those of you who have submitted reviews to Living Astrology. If you haven't yet, I would be so grateful if you would go onto Amazon and just share a few words about what's special about it and how it supports you in your life. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.